everyone and welcome back to the channel for the next day of Build-A-Mess. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So today's video I'm going to be creating an area in Pixie Acres over in Wish Blossom Ranch for Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. I wanted to have them together and was pleasantly surprised that Tink did get her own home. I thought she was going to be living with Peter, so I can now include both their houses in this section. Now for this build I kind of use half a biome and I leave the other half empty because I wanted to leave it for you guys to maybe suggest what you'd like to see here or kind of think what you think would work, and if not I'll have a little brainstorm and see what I want to put here. But I wanted to keep the area quite quaint so that I could keep the other half for something else, but I wanted to give them a really fun and vibrant kind of biome to live in. So let's get started. So as you can see, to start with, there's a really small top section, but it actually has quite a lot of space once you remove all the big plants and things like that. And as you can see, I did my usual thing of placing out a bunch of furniture I thought I'd probably use. I don't end up using all of this, and I start off by placing obviously Peter's house and Tink's house in places in the biome that I feel like they would work. So I put Tink off into this little corner left section and Peter right at the back. Now as you can see, for Tink's home I've placed one of the gazebos we got in the Alice in Wonderland Star Path a few months back into the area next to it. Added some of the new craftable fairy fencing, which I think works really nicely around her house, and added in some of the new craftable tables and chairs in there as well. Now if you're someone who doesn't have Wish Blossom Ranch, obviously you won't be able to use Tinkerbell's home, but this could definitely help if you want to decorate Peter's. But I do have a pre-existing build for Peter's home in the base game that doesn't include anything from Wish Blossom Ranch, so I will leave the link to that in the description if you don't have it and you're looking for some inspo for his house, or maybe you want to decorate both their houses together but not use too many of the Wish Blossom craftables, as they can be quite expensive to make resource wise. So obviously that video has lots more options from the other DLCs as well as the base game to make it a little bit more accessible. As you can see, once I'd added in the brown kind of muddy pathway in here, I then added in some rocks to kind of lead to Tinkerbell's area, as well as kind of map in Peter's, and then started adding some of my bigger furniture like the fairy archway to go into her area, some of the pumpkin vine lamps, and then some of the craftable items, just to get a good idea of where I wanted to put these in and kind of make sure I could fit what I wanted. But also because I had quite a lot of furniture placed out, I didn't want everything to get too busy and too overwhelming, because this build is going to be quite overstimulating, let's say, because of all the plants and it being that kind of pixie fairy core look. I wanted it to feel really busy and really childlike, so I do make it very busy when it comes to plants and foliage. So I didn't want the furniture to then also be too overwhelming, so I did have to try and keep a little bit of a balance so that it didn't feel a little bit too hectic in here. As you can see, talking of foliage, I've now added some of the bigger plants and trees in the back. I obviously use a lot of the big kind of rock tree structures that we get from Pixie Acres with the really cool giant plants in. And then for trees, I add in some of the jungle style trees from Eternity Isle. I just feel like these work well in this kind of fairy core biome. And then along the path, I obviously added in a bunch of different plants from all 3 DLCs as well as the base game to give it a really bright and fun look, but obviously kept it feeling very fairy-like, and I tried to include as many different ones as I could. Now as we continue along the path, you can see I've now added some of the giant mushrooms from Storybook Vale, and I've added in some long grass in between the plants to make it feel really overgrown. And then I start organising my furniture, because at this point I realise there is definitely a lot more furniture than I'm going to need if I'm only going to be doing half the biome. So I started to kind of sort out what ones I wanted to use, as well as adding in this gorgeous horseshoe archway and some lamps onto the front of the biome, because this is the biome that you come through the hollowed out log to get to, which I absolutely love. So I wanted to give it a really nice archway entrance to fit with that. Now, as you can see, as I move on to Peter's area at the back, I obviously included the really gorgeous rainbow we got around the time when he launched, as well as some of the giant Bugs Life plants, and then again the same jungle trees and the same larger Pixie Acres structures to keep it all feeling the same. For the areas in here, I obviously wanted to have the path leading up to Peter's house itself, and then on the right hand side I wanted to have kind of like a little campsite area. I had this in his original build and I ended up really liking it. And then on the left side of his house I added in the Toy Story blanket fort. I just feel like it really really fits Peter's character, and added in some of the bright kind of wish blossom trees with the bunting and stuff. I felt like they felt really childlike, and kind of fit his vibe. I feel like in here you could definitely add a bunch more like toys and things like that. I chose not to, just because I wanted it to kind of fit more of a fairy core theme, but I feel like that could have been a really fun addition that maybe I'll add in the future, is just to add in a bunch of kind of like stuffed toys and things like that, just to obviously add to that kind of childlike feel a bit more. Now, another thing I added in here, which I did have in my original build for Peter in my main valley, was I added in some of these cardboard cutouts we got such a long time ago. I think we had one for like a Frozen quest, maybe it was Kristoff, I can't remember, and one that was from Vanellope, and there's kind of like a bunch of different ones. Some of them are trees and rocks, and then some of them are actual woodland animals, and I absolutely love using these around Peter's house, so I definitely wanted to again this time round, because I never use these cardboard cutouts ever anywhere else in my valley. I just don't feel like they work anywhere else, but around his home I just felt like hidden in between the plants and the bushes again, they're just really fun to include, so I definitely wanted to make sure I use those, and those are something that are really easily accessible for those of you who do have those characters that you get early on in the base game. To wrap up the build, I added in the final pieces of foliage and trees, as well as some of the final items, which were a lot of craftable items like crates and barrels and things like that. I felt like they just kind of fit the vibe, so I wanted to fit them into the spots that I had left at the end before I wrapped everything up. So here is the final build. As you can see, we're coming from the hollow log and going through the horseshoe archway. I've also added in some fireflies off camera. I completely forgot to add these in, and then when I started walking around I realised they were missing. And then as we head into Tink's area, I've obviously got a little makeshift path leading to the rock spot, so it's easily accessible. And then we've got our cobblestone path leading to the gazebo with a little teapot on the table for her to have tea parties. Obviously her home surrounded by this gorgeous fence, which I absolutely love having. And then as we head round, we've got obviously the little craftable swing bench, as well as the puff balloon, which is from the premium shop. We got that a while ago, and I wanted to make sure I included that as well, because obviously it very much fits with her theme. I wanted to keep her area busy, but not with too many items, just because obviously she is so small. I kind of wanted that to make sense. I do wish we'd got some like tiny craftable items for her to actually decorate with. I think that would have been really, really fun, but I kind of wanted to do it a little bit more makeshift and see what I could do with the craftables we had. As we head down the path, as you can see, only one side is decorated, as the other side is left open, ready for something else to go there, but the side that is decorated is full of brightly coloured plants, mushrooms and things like that. And then as we head through the little light posts, we get to Peter's home. We've got his little blanket fort on the left with some of those wooden cutouts and a tree swing, and I also included a little pirate wheel because I just felt like it was something he'd enjoy having in his front garden. And then on the right hand side, we've obviously got the waterfall, and then we've got this gorgeous little campsite where I've added the leafy bed so him and his friends can hang out here and have fun. So here are some shots of the final build. I hope you guys did enjoy. It is quite a small build, as I said, but I wanted to make sure their areas weren't too big, because obviously Tink is such a small character in size, and I felt like these two would just have this quaint little hidden home section in a kind of very overgrown fairy forest, and the other half of the biome is obviously left empty, ready for something to go there. But I hope you guys do enjoy how it turned out. As I said, my original build for Peter's house is going to be in the description, so if you want something a little bit less Pixie Acres themed, that is there for you. But I hope you guys liked it and you're enjoying Buildmas. There will be another one obviously out tomorrow, so make sure you like and subscribe to keep track of those. Thank you so much for all your support, and I will see you tomorrow for the next one. Bye!